Hi all, welcome to Beanie Composter. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but that's one of the neighbours revving up his Lamborghini. We're not all that rich, so I think this video is going to be about showing you how you can get a hot composting bin for a fraction of the price of a brand new one. Have you considered buying a second-hand one? If so, these are the things you need to look out for. If you've been like Kate and cutting up your raspberry canes for over an hour and you deserve a bit of a break, then why not check out our other channel, Beanie Chef, where we've got some amazing recipes on there that you can just easily put together to sit down in the garden and enjoy. We got our composting bin over 3 years ago now, and it was £180. I bought it straight from the Hot Composting Bin company because I thought, I'd done a bit of research and I thought that was the best place to go to, as in with any issues, and at that time they were quite sort of new and probably not that popular. But if you fast forward to now, they're becoming quite popular, and if you go on the website you'll see the 200 litre Mark II one is retailing at £220, which is quite a lot of money to pay for a composting bin. But for me, I fully, think that's worth it because the way you can use it and what it does. But like I say, there's a lot of people that struggle with them, and it's not all as simple as you think. So what you find is a lot of people get them, and then after maybe a few months they really struggle, and they just end up selling them. So if you look on certain websites like eBay, you will find some on there. As we're making this video, it's May 21, and on eBay there's a couple on there. One is a mini for starting bid £50, and there's a buy it now, a Mark 1 a bit like this one here, that's on there for £100. If you are thinking of buying a second-hand one, then there are a few things I would say you need to look out for first, because although most of them, like I say, are probably quite new because people use them and they don't get on with it and they sell it quite quickly. If you pick up a sort of old one from maybe an allotment, then you want to check out for any damage in that. I've looked on a few websites where I've seen people modifying theirs to try and get the temperature up, so you want to be careful that you're not buying one that's damaged and isn't really working. In all honesty, if it's complete from the factory with no modifications, it will definitely work. It's just how you're using it, so definitely check that it hasn't been modified in any way, because that might affect how it's working. One of the main things I would look for if I was buying a second-hand one would be, they are, although they're quite solid, this can easily get damaged. So what you want to check for is there's no actual bits that have been broken off, and like there's one on eBay at the moment that the cat's been clawing, so like all these little particles are coming out. Although that's not going to really affect it, you've just got to look for sort of bits that have been maybe broken off, where the air can get in, because this is the insulation bit is quite important. It's got no damage as in holes in it. So I would definitely check the whole of it just to make sure there's no damage where someone's maybe put a fork through it, or I know they say they're rodent proof, although not 100%, so you want to check if someone's had it lifted up and there may be some foxes tried to eat it, or a rat. So you just check for the outside parts are all in good tack. Lid as well, when you lift it up, that should just stay up. So this is another thing to definitely check. This area there hasn't been damaged, and the lid just literally is lifting off, and you've not got a good proper seal, because if that's the case, you don't want to be taking the lid off every time you empty it. You want it just to literally lift up like that and stay there. So I'd definitely check that as well. Obviously you won't be able to check these if you're buying off eBay, but these are the sort of questions you should be asking the seller, just to make sure you're getting, you know, your money's worth. Another thing what you want to check for is this air valve here. So you can just slide them out gently with your hand so that comes apart. If that was missing, it's not really an issue because you can buy these on the website as a replacement part. But say that is missing, I would double check to see there's no damage there, because if you put that back in and it doesn't fit properly, you're going to have issues with that. And then right inside here, I don't know if we can see too clearly because of the sun today, you've got the filter. So it's like a bag which has got, you know, all the carbon stones in there. I have heard of people taking that out because they think it's going to give it more airflow. So if you are getting a second-hand one, that's definitely worth checking to see it's got that in there. I don't know if you can get a replacement one of these, but if it was missing, I'd be quite concerned, because that's the thing that stops all the smells from coming out. And for me, you know, that's quite important in terms of getting, you know, attracting vermin or rodents. You've got a dial that's, you know, that can just pop out of there. That's in the lid. This is also a replacement part if that was damaged or missing, that you could get on the Hotbin Composting website as well. But as I say, with all the replacement parts, I'd just be careful. Although that turns and you could pop it out, I'd be mindful that all the edging has not been damaged. So, you know, because you don't want to put one in there and there's still loads of air gaps where air can keep coming in. Although you need airflow, you've got to restrict it so you're not having too much going in and out. So if we go down to the hatch thing where you empty it from, ours is, you know, over 3 years old now, and the amount of stuff that you put in there, there's a huge amount of, you know, weight that's inside pushing on this door. So over time it does tend to sort of bow, as in, like, you know, it is sticking out. That isn't really an issue if it's, you know, if you think, oh, it needs to be flush. It doesn't, as long as all the sides, as in all round it, seal nice and tight and there's no damage. So if you show just round here, as long as there's no damage, you know, where the handles are and all around this edging, as long as there's a nice seal on it, it isn't going to matter that it's a bit bowed. And inside here you've got a base which has got like holes, and that will lift out. That's another thing, you know, when they're selling these, or, you know, you see them online, they're not going to have the compost in, so they're going to be empty. Generally people clean them, but there's another base plate inside there which holds like the water, and it's got air vents for the air to go through. That's another place you want to check is not damaged, because although you can get some replacement parts on the hot composting bin site, certain things like these doors and the inside I don't think are available. As far as I'm aware, looking on the hot composting bin website, the door and the actual inside base plate isn't available as a spare part, but I'm sure maybe if you contacted them, then that might be a possibility. Our compost is ready if you have a look, but I just wanted to show you on the door what you need to look out for, as in damage wise. We've got a load of ants in here, so I think we've got an ant's nest in the actual composting bin, so not great. and we're gonna have to speed up here before I have ants crawling everywhere. That's where that saying ants in your pants comes from. But make sure all these bits here are intact if you're buying, you know, a second-hand one. So the hatch door is definitely in good condition, because that creates like one of the main seals. I'll just leave that off for a second. Also, the size of this is the size, you know, the 200 litre one is the size of a, you know, probably a wheelie bin, dustbin that you use at home. So they're quite large, and although this door bit comes off, everything else is complete. So another thing, if you're buying a second-hand one, when they're empty, they're just made of, this material is very light, so I think they weigh about 8 kilos, so they're really easy to lift up, so that's not the issue. But one of the issues is, if you've got, say, a small car, you might struggle to get that actually in the car. So that's just a thing to check if you do buy one second hand, that you can actually get it back home. The Mark 1 and the Mark 2 are different. On the Mark 1, you've got no way of, you know, collecting the leachate, whereas on the Mark 2 you've got, you know, a tap thing there that you just undo. So if you're getting the Mark 2 one, check that that's all intact and it's not loose and, you know, falling out. With the mesh plate, which is, you know, this metal fine grill there that lets the air in, you want to check on the Mark 1 it's protruding on the outside, and you'll have like the sealant which is all the way around it. Just make sure that's not been tampered with or it's not missing, because I've seen on some that it's missing, and it, you know, that is vital, as in like that you've got the wire mesh there. On the Mark II it will be inside, so it might be harder to actually, you might think it's missing, but it's actually inside this part, sort of midway. But if you put your finger in, you'd feel the metal is there. So that's one area that you need to check as hasn't been tampered with as well. Okay, before the little one chokes, I'll give you a summary of all the things you need to look for. So make sure the outer shell is not damaged in any way, no holes. The bottom, on most of the things you'll see online, you won't see the bottom, so that's one thing to definitely ask the vendor. If you can see, make sure it's still intact, there's no holes at the bottom, especially inside with the airflow plate. Your mesh plate, you want to make sure that's not been removed, it's still there. The vent on the top, just see if you can ask them to take that little vent out and check that there's still the carbon filter in there and that's not been removed in any way. If it is missing the accessories such as the stirrer or the kickstart bottle, then don't worry about this. You can easily get these available online, and like I say, I'm going to do a video showing you money saving ways that you can get these. I hope this helps you out. Thank you for all your comments and people that have subscribed, and until next time, don't forget, try these out in Beanie Chef. You'll be sitting in the garden enjoying yourself and you've got something nice to eat.